Climbing has been one of the most commonly implemented mechanics across a wide variety of games. Whether it's a platformer, action-adventure, side-scroller, name it. It's all thanks to the game developers who were able to turn climbing into its own thing, giving us the chance to play games I'm about to talk about. My name is Nol-D, and in this list, we're going to focus on games that make climbing the main goal. Whether that's scaling a building, a mountain, a massive wall, or
Yo Baba!
You've probably heard some of these games already, so feel free to check out the ones you haven't. With all that said, the first game is Jusant. Anyways, I just recently tried Game Pass, which is very timely when I thought of this video idea, and right off the bat, I downloaded this game. I'd be honest, I've already seen trailers and some gameplays, but back then, I wasn't that excited when I first saw Jusant. I just got aware of this genre not that long ago, so I wasn't really expecting much. Turns out, this game is a big surprise for me. It was published by Don't Nod, the folks behind Life is Strange and Banishers. So, going back, this climbing game has a very pleasing look to it. It's sort of like a claymation at some parts, and I'm just gonna say, the environment design here is super good. It's a very linear game, but it does give you the option to explore. I'm not the biggest fan of reading notes for the story, so finding little snippets here and there didn't have much of an impact on me. But honestly, the world in Jusant is interesting enough that it stands on its own, even without those notes. As you climb, you pick up shells scattered around the world which give clues about what happened in the areas where you find them. And for me, that's all I really need. As for the gameplay, I highly recommend using a controller. The controls feel smooth and have great weight to them. There are also plenty of climbing mechanics like vines you can latch onto, keeping the experience fresh. Jusant is very affordable on Steam, but if you already have Game Pass, just download it and give it a go. A difficult game about climbing. When I first saw this, I immediately thought of getting over it. This one's made by a solo dev and is one of those comedy rage games that can be pretty addictive. You'll only be using your hands to climb, so maneuvering can get tricky at times, and any mistake, no matter how small, can mess up your progress. It's basically a metaphor for real-life challenges, and it's brutal. I'm not going to play it because I don't have the patience for it, but if you think you've got what it takes, I'd say go ahead and buy it. It's worth it for the price, which is your
Sanity.
This next game is technically not a climbing game, but hear me out. Get to Work is a game where you're both a human and a roller skate.
Oh, you gotta be shitting me.
It's definitely another comedy rage game. I mean, look at this! And from the gameplay videos I've seen, the controls are super smooth, which in games like this is crucial. It kinda reminds me of CS surfing, so if you're into that, you'll probably enjoy this game. It also has a speedrun timer encouraging you to find shortcuts and maybe even break the game to beat your own records. Plus, it's really cheap, so it won't hurt your wallet when you buy it. Ever wonder what it feels like to rock climb with super long hands? Well, in Peaks of Yore, that's exactly what you'll experience, whether you're using a controller or a keyboard and mouse. I'm telling you, this game really tested my patience, but for a good reason. It's a very challenging physics-based climbing game, and it's not definitely as simple as it sounds. You really need to think before maneuvering to the next point you're grabbing onto, but I'm not kidding when I say it feels incredibly rewarding when you finally reach the top. Set in 1887, you play as a peak bagger, collecting stamps every time you reach the top of a climb. As you progress, you unlock new equipment to help you climb more efficiently, like ropes that act as checkpoints when you pin them. You also have the option to choose which peak to climb first if you got the right equipment. If you're looking for a challenging but well-paced climbing game, definitely check it out. So, Cairn is one of those climbing games that really makes you feel the climb. Instead of just pressing a button and watching your character do the work, you control every limb. Yep, hands, feet, the whole deal. It also has some survival aspect to it. You'll need to watch your hunger, thirst, and temperature, plus your character's breathing and the controller's vibration are key to managing your stamina. When their breath starts getting heavier and the controller vibrates more intensely, it's your cue to slow down and
Stop it. Get some help.
while the demo doesn't explain every mechanic, the interface and gameplay are intuitive, so you'll pick it up quickly. What's really cool about Cairn is that you can climb pretty much anything, not just ledges, but even flat surfaces, letting you find a more comfortable position or steady yourself when needed. Control is dynamic, making the climbing feel surprisingly lifelike. There are no set paths. You just pick your own way up and figure out how to deal with whatever gets in the way. As you climb, you'll also need to keep track of your gear. The inventory system has a witty design choice. It lays out your gear just like it would in a real-life bag. It's a clever touch that makes you think.
Nice.
If you want to take a step back and take in the view, there are these checkpoints where you kinda just sit and look around. The cel-shaded graphics gives the game this awesome artsy feel, like you're climbing through a painting. As you journey up, there are collectibles scattered throughout, little treasures here and there. Cairn is best played with a controller, and I don't think anyone would prefer a keyboard and mouse, since it's kinda awkward. And if you're curious, there's a demo available on Steam, so you can give it a try. The full game is set to release later this year, so if you're ready for a true climbing challenge, this one's definitely worth checking out. Oh, and before I forget, I just saw something that might be worth mentioning right before I upload this video. New Heights is kind of like Cairn, where you control every limb of your body, but this one takes a much more realistic approach. It's definitely shaping up to be a hardcore climbing game. What's cool is that the places you climb actually exist in real life, so you get all the thrills of scaling insane peaks without the whole risk your life part. There's also a leaderboard, so if you're the competitive type, that's your reason to keep coming back and trying to top the charts. Anyway, just wanted to throw that in there. It's in early access, so while waiting for the full release of Cairn, maybe you could give this a try. Okay, so let's talk about White Knuckles, a retro-style roguelike climbing game where you climb up these creepy tower-like structures. And when I say retro-style, I mean it's black, white, and just a splash of red. So yeah, real minimalistic. But honestly, it gives the game this eerie, old-school vibe that works way better than you'd expect. Now here's the kicker. You've got hands, but no limbs. Seriously, I'm just wondering what kind of creature this is. The game's got some horror elements too, which really amps up the tension. You're not just climbing up these towers, you're running away from this blob thing, but it kinda looks more like a puke. Ugh. And if it touches you, you're dead. And speaking of tools, you've got a hammer. Yeah, a hammer. But not just any hammer. This bad boy is both a tool and a weapon. In the demo, you'll run into barnacles, kind of like the ones in Half-Life, and big bugs which you'll get to bash with your hammer. So it's not just for climbing, it's your all-in-one tool for getting through everything. As for climbing, you've got options. You can choose your own path, so if you've got some creative ideas, go wild. You can throw rebars into walls and hold on to them for climbing, or you can throw them like a spear. Maybe you'll throw a rebar at an enemy and then climb right up it like a savage you are. You get to decide what works for you. The game gets smooth once you figure out the controls, and climbing becomes all about using the momentum. It's kind of a game where you'll feel like a speedrunner after a while, trying to climb faster and finding the shorter route. The game also has a smart stamina system. Your hands turn red when your grip starts to weaken, so you get a heads up before your hands give out. Luckily, you can drink energy drinks you find during the climb to instantly refresh your stamina. As for the story, well, your guess is as good as mine. I have absolutely no clue what's going on, but the gameplay's fun enough that it doesn't really matter for now. So yeah, if you're into climbing, roguelikes, and weird horror vibes, White Knuckles could be right up your alley. The demo's available on Steam right now, so if you want to try it out, you can, but sadly there's no release date yet, so we're all kind of in the dark about when the full game's coming out. Alright, let's talk about Valley Peaks, the game where you play as a frog with sticks for hands.
What are those?
Yep, that's right. Sticks for hands. The game has this cute cartoonish art style that gives off all the cozy vibes. Unlike White Knuckles with all its horror elements, Valley Peaks is a super chill, relaxing experience. You're dropped into a sandbox world where you get to choose which mountain to climb first. The main objective? Install radio towers at the top of each mountain to get the signal flowing through the valley. Each mountain has different routes and you'll need to climb each of them to collect stamps that unlock new gadgets. These gadgets help you explore the world better. Stuff like gliders and a telescope to check out the next mountains you can climb. And hey, if you ever get tired of climbing, there are minigames scattered around for a little change of pace. Out of all the games on the list, this is definitely the easiest one. So if you're looking for a low-stress, feel-good experience, you're in the right place. Valley Peaks is super affordable on Steam, so if you're looking for something relaxing, fun, and full of charm, definitely give it a shot.
You broke it!
Last game on our list is Lorne's Lure. I'm not gonna say anything, but just look at this! It's a game that combines climbing, mystery, and an eerie atmosphere. In this one, you play as an android on a quest to find your purpose. Sounds like a classic sci-fi setup, right?
No.
But here's where it gets interesting. You're not alone on this journey. You're guided by a strange spirit-like glitch thingy that draws you toward these giant mega structures. Your goal? I don't know. Just follow the glitchy thing, I guess. You have two rusty pickaxes in your hands. You can climb or slide to almost anything, even places you'd think were impossible to reach. But let's talk about the atmosphere. Lorne's Lure isn't your typical climbing game. It has this eerie vibe that make you feel tense and uneasy at times, at least for me. The game really knows how to play with your emotions. While I was scaling these gigantic structures, I felt so lonely, isolated. And it's not very common in most games, which really surprised me that it was well executed here. And did I mention the retro style graphics? As you all know by now, that's an instant win for me. The minimalist pixel art style gives the game this hauntingly beautiful charm, pulling you right into its mysterious world. If you love climbing games that mix mystery with a tense, atmospheric world and retro visuals, Lorne's Lure is something you've got to try. That's it! If I miss any game, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to get updates on everything gaming. Okay, great! Bye!